Hello everyone, it's SpawnPoiint and this is the 2022 LG G2 OLED, the gallery edition in this year's lineup. It's got the brighter Evo panel, HDMI 2.1, 120Hz and an ultra thin profile, and this makes it one of the best LG OLEDs this year. Well, in fact, it also won the T3 award for the best OLED TV last week. Well, today we're going to get this unboxed, set it up and go over the main features. I'll also give you my first impressions on this 65-inch TV along with some gaming on the PlayStation 5. I wanted to mention that Box very kindly loaned me this TV so I can make today's video. This is not sponsored, but I have linked to their site below if you wanted to check them out. Okay, first up, the packaging that it comes in. So like with the other 2022 TVs that we've seen, LG have opted for this simple and plain brown box. Obviously this is totally different to what we've seen before with the huge images that they normally print on the side, but this is actually to reduce their impact on the environment. They are now easier to produce, recycle and are supposedly 45% lighter. Inside this little box it comes with a flush wall mount. Now this is what you will use to attach the G2 to the wall. Then we have the other accessories including the remote control or the magic remote, a couple of batteries, the manuals and warranty information and an IR blaster. And that's everything that we get with this TV, and you will notice that there's no tabletop stand included, just the bracket. So before we attach this to the wall, let's take a look at the rear of the G2. Let's start with the casing. So if you look very closely, you can just about see this stripy design that they've got going on. But the case itself feels like a very thin layer of plastic. In fact, if you press it firmly, it will flex quite a lot. Now, because of the materials that they've used on the back here, it means the TV is actually a lot lighter than last year's G1. So this year's 65-inch G2 comes in at 22.8 kilograms, which is 6.2 kilograms less than last year. Then looking around the back, we've got the LG OLED branding in the middle, and above that we've got the recessed area, which is where you fit the flush wall bracket. On the right side are where all of the ports and connections are for this TV. So we've got a total of 4 HDMI 2.1 ports, 2 on the bottom and 2 on the side. These are all capable of 4K 120Hz, and one of these are labelled eARC for sending audio down to your AVR or your soundbar. There are then 3 USB ports, a LAN port, an optical out, 2 aerial ports and 1 for the IR blaster. And what you cannot see on the back of here is this TV does also have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Now what I like about these ports is the fact that none of them point out towards the wall, and this is what gives the TV that super flush look. And that also goes hand in hand with the recessed cable management area. You can now hide all of your cables in here, and if you use the plastic clips you can actually keep your cables and wires out of sight. Now I've mentioned the wall bracket area if you want to use the provided flush mount, but there are VESA holes as well. So if you want to use a third-party bracket or stand, and that's what I'll be using, you can do it this way. Unfortunately, looking at the power cable, this cannot be unplugged. So if you're wanting to feed the cable through your wall, well, you'll either need to remove the rear panel and find a way to remove the plug, or try and feed the entire plug through your wall. Fortunately, I did have a plug fitted directly behind the TV for this reason, and I've also hid some trunking in the wall to feed my cables through. And if you look around the edge of the TV, it's got this little ledge. Now I usually have an LED strip or ambient lights on the back of my TVs, and this small ledge is the perfect spot to fit any Philips Hue or LIFX strips. Unfortunately, you'll only be able to do this on the top and the sides though, because the bottom doesn't have the same design. Now as this is a gallery edition, it's designed to be wall mounted, and that means it does not come with a tabletop stand, but it does come with a flush wall bracket if you want to use that. So this bracket here just folds open and then you attach it to your wall, and then you obviously attach it to your TV. It even comes with a paper template in the box and a guide on exactly how to do it. I won't be using this today, but reading through the leaflet is easy enough to understand. Instead of using the wall bracket, I will be using the 300 by 300 VESA holes instead. And with that, I'll be using my trusty old bracket that I've had for about 8 years now. This thing has had 50 kilogram plasmas on it and a few 77-inch OLEDs. That means today's 65-inch will be an easy fit. But because it's quite a thick bracket, the TV will not sit super flush to the wall. I much prefer these type of brackets for ease of moving it in and out and changing the ports, but I thought I'd mention it just in case you wondered why it's sticking out by a couple of inches from the wall. Now if you'd rather not wall mount it, you can actually buy tabletop stands or legs instead. And setting it up takes just a few minutes. Simply run through the instructions on screen, accept the terms, sign into any apps that you download, and you're pretty much good to go. It will ask you if you want to use the AI picture and the AI sound. I actually have these set to off, but have a play around with these to see which one you prefer. And once that's done, make sure you check for updates and make sure you're on the latest version. Out of the box, it will be on an older firmware, so make sure it's up to date to get the most out of it. So when it comes to the design of the LG G2, it's got a really sleek and minimal look to it. The edges or the bezels of the TV are incredibly thin, giving the image an almost borderless look. Now this is something that we regularly see now across the range, but it still amazes me just how nice it looks. There's no branding or logos on the front at all, just a very small rectangular bump at the bottom, and this is how the remote control communicates with the TV. Around the sides, the frame isn't as thin as you might expect from an OLED, but that's because it's housing all of the internals equally across the TV, not just at the bottom like we see on the C series. But the edge of the TV does have this brushed metal texture to it, which is nice. It looks more like a picture frame rather than a TV from the side. Now you can just about see this from the front too, so it's a very thin silver line around the edge of the screen. I think black would have looked nicer overall, but this still works well and it does not distract while viewing. Now you might have noticed already, but the G2 is mounted pretty low today, but that's because of the other TV that I usually have on here. Ideally, this should be about 6 inches higher to give a true floating TV look. Now let's take a look at the screen itself. So this TV comes with a 4K OLED panel with a 3840 by 2160 resolution. It also has a 120Hz refresh rate and pixel dimming, and this is what gets you those perfect black levels. Now one of the main reasons you'd want an OLED is for the infinite contrast, those inky blacks and the incredible picture quality. But there is a concern that most have, which is the overall brightness of the screen. Is it bright enough? Well, on first impressions, this is noticeably brighter than I've ever seen before. I have my brightness set to 80% and that is more than enough for me. Now why this screen is brighter is actually down to the Evo panel that's included with this model. This offers a brighter image and improved image vibrancy over the previous gens. Now it's easy to be suckered into those marketing terms and it's not something we should really worry about. But having said that, I can see this TV is definitely brighter than the LG C1 that I had before. I would normally say this is just a placebo effect, but truthfully it does appear brighter. But brightness aside, the image quality, vibrancy and depth of the picture is absolutely incredible. The G2 comes with a Gen 5 A9 chip, which does an awesome job of improving the picture quality and colours, and it really does look like a great screen. The viewing angles are as good as you would expect. You can pretty much watch this anywhere in the room, but the screen is quite reflective. This isn't a problem at night or in rooms with balanced lighting or if you watch it straight on, but if it's near a window or you need to watch the TV at a slight angle, you're going to see reflections in those dark areas. It is very slightly tinted, but that won't stop reflections from showing entirely. Now the G2 doesn't just have an awesome picture quality, it's also packing some of the best gaming features that you can get in a TV. And like with the other LG OLEDs, the G2 comes with full HDMI 2.1 support. That's 4K, 120Hz and VRR. It also has G-Sync, FreeSync and Dolby Vision. So gaming on a TV might not be your first choice, but this TV is stupidly capable with its low input lag and 0.1 millisecond response time. It will actually keep up with some of the best gaming monitors out there. And if you follow me for a while, you'll know that I often talk about playing Warzone or Call of Duty on my TVs. And as you would expect, this one does not disappoint. On top of that, we've got LG's Game Optimizer mode, so while you're gaming, if you press the settings button on the remote control, you get this menu overlay, and this is what lets you view and tweak some of the gaming features. You can see things like the current frame rate and whether VRR is actually running. So whether you're gaming on a PC or one of the latest consoles, this TV is more than capable of delivering a perfect gaming experience. And as for the UI and the menus of the G2, well, it's very similar to what we've seen before. So it's running the latest web OS, and it's got a nice clean home screen where all of the apps are installed. And that new A9 Gen 5 chip means it's quite snappy and responsive as you navigate around the menus. And looking through the available apps, it appears we get pretty much everything you would expect, including Netflix, Apple TV, Amazon Prime and Disney+. And if you're in the UK like myself, we get all of the streaming apps too, like BBC, ITV, Channel 4 and Channel 5. If there are any apps on here that you want me to check out, just let me know in the comments. We've got the settings menu, which hasn't changed a great deal from what we've seen before. There's the picture modes, including standard, vivid, eco and filmmaker mode. The main one that I use is actually the ISF Expert Bright. I just tweak the color temp, the sharpness and the brightness. I also change the motion handling as well. Now these are my personal preferences and I know a lot of people turn them off completely, but it's a case of tweaking the settings and seeing which works for you. Picture-in-picture or multi-view is a new mode that we've got this year, but playing around with it, it does not work the way that I would like it to. For example, you cannot use 2 HDMI sources or even 2 apps at the same time. You can use one HDMI and then use the screen sharing app, so it seems pretty limited to me. Oh, and don't forget to turn off the energy saving mode. This is what helps you keep control of the brightness of the TV. This is always one of the first things that I turn off with every new TV. And a quick look at the new remote control, or the magic remote. So this obviously lets you control the TV, but it's also got this little magic wand feature that you can whiz around and choose the settings you need. We've got the usual quick menu buttons across the bottom for things like Netflix and Disney+, but this remote is very similar to what we've seen before. Again, not much has changed. So overall, I think the LG G2 OLED is a really nice TV. The ultra-thin profile means it looks great on the wall, and if you're using it with the provided bracket, it will be incredibly flush. The increased brightness with the Evo panel is obviously a nice addition, and the vibrant picture just looks awesome with pretty much everything that I've watched on it. And then there's the gaming features, so if you've got a PC, a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, this really is an incredible TV to pair it with. Now, I've only got this TV for about another week or so thanks again to Box for loaning it to me, but I've got two video ideas. Would you like to see a comparison of the G2 against either the C2 or the C1, or a full review of the G2? Let me know what you would like to see in the comments, and I will try to do one more of these videos this month. And if you did enjoy today's video, check out my gaming on a TV versus monitor video next, as it covers why I use both and which one I think is better. Well, thanks for watching, until next time.